Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here again. So I'm Simon Bernard from Plastic Odyssey. And, well, just a short story. I used to be a sailor, merchant navy officer. So I've sailed around the world. And obviously, I'm passionate about the ocean. So when I've heard about this plastic pollution, I just wanted to do one thing. Take my boat and go clean this ocean. Go clean this garbage island we saw. Who wants to come with me? Who wants to clean the ocean? Well, I'm afraid to tell you, you're going to waste your time if you go and clean the ocean, unfortunately. This is the pictures that illustrate the problem for media, just to raise awareness. So we saw plastic floating. But the problem is actually much more complex. This is a real picture of the continent of plastic. This is the pollution. There is no plastic floating at all, almost, only microparticles. So this is what you don't see in media, and what shows that the problem is much more complex. I'm not saying that there is no pollution. There is actually a huge liquid, huge quantity of plastic flowing in the ocean. It's about 18 tons every minute. So it's a bit like a tap, widely opened, just flowing continuously. But the problem is, as you saw it, the plastic doesn't float. So you cannot clean really this ocean. Just to show you some figures, this is the quantity of plastics that floats at the surface. It can seem big, huge, but compare it to the quantity I was telling you, 18 tons per minute, and you realize that this floating plastic represents only 6 days. So if you collect all the plastic, you only solve 6 days of the problem. Compare it to the pollution that is actually in the ocean, 340 million tons, and you realize that if you collect all the plastic, you solve 0.05% of the problem. So that's not where we need to focus and to put our energy in. I'm not saying we shouldn't try to collect the plastic, but I'm just saying that if we think cleaning the ocean by collecting this plastic, well, unfortunately, we are wrong. But it's not lost. If we look at the studies, how to turn this tap, there are two actions to do in parallel. The first one is to reduce our plastic consumption. If we cap the plastic consumption at 1.7 kilo per day and per person, which is still huge, right? 1.7 kilo per day. In France, it's about 2 kilos, so we are above it. If we reduce this, we can reduce the global pollution to 26%. So that's a good start. The second action we need to carry on is to improve waste management, especially in the top 20 countries that contribute the most to the pollutions. There's actually these 20 countries are accounting for 80% of the income of the pollution in the ocean. So if we manage to double the waste management in these top 20 countries, we can reduce by 41% the global pollution. So compare it to the 0.05 we had at the beginning at the surface, you can see that you have a huge impact by just focusing on waste management in this country. When I realized that, I thought, okay, I'm not going to take my boat and go clean the ocean. I'm going to take it the other way, and I'm going to call in all these countries to try and stop the leakage of plastic pollutions. So how are we going to do that? Well, this is what the pollutions look like. It's landfill, very close to the oceans, that all this plastic end up after, because of the wind and rain, and that's where the pollution comes from. Well, I thought, okay, why is this plastic here? It has a value, it's precious, and it can be converted into many materials and create jobs around the world. So why is it here? Well, actually, I realized that we can build houses out of this plastic. We can create materials. We can also create fuel out of plastic when it's not recyclable anymore. Do you have an idea of the quantity of diesel and gasoline we can produce with 1 kilogram of plastic? Well, we can make up to 1 liter of diesel and gasoline. So why is all this plastic here? We can build houses, make fuel. All of these technologies exist. But today they are reserved for industrials. They are still costly in big factories that are not adapted to the countries that would benefit the most, the countries that are really impacted by this pollution. So with a team of passionate engineers, we came up with the idea of developing small-scale, low-tech, and open-source systems to recycle this plastic. So like a small recycling plant with all the steps, sorting, recycling, and then finally converting into fuel when you cannot do anything else. So we are now working on these 3 solutions. So first, sensor to help sort the plastic, to separate the different types. Then recycling into new materials, so like building houses, as you saw. And finally, pyrolysis, which enables us to convert the plastics back into fuel. That's the 3 technologies we're working on. As you understood, the approach is not the value is not the technological approach, but it's more how we can make them affordable to anyone. And for that, we needed open source, open innovation. So, as I was telling you, all the technologies exist, but we need to make them affordable to anyone. So we need to share the drawing so that anybody can take it, build it, repair it, and adapt to its own country. So we are starting to build a community of industrials, engineers, experts, so that we could make this dream possible. I was talking about community. Obviously, if you want to federate the community and gather the most people, you need a different approach than just the startup classical approach. So we got inspired by Solar Impulse, this plane that anybody knows, that made a round-the-world expedition just on a plane powered by solar energy, showing that this technology was possible and it could be replicated and used for other alternatives. So we thought we need to do the same with plastic recycling. All these technologies need to be shared, need to be known everywhere. So we need to embark them on a boat. That's where the boat comes. And we are building a boat that is a showcase of all these solutions. Sorting, recycling, and fuel. And that will go around the world in 2020, just powered by plastic waste. So we will do the demonstration on board that we can collect the plastic. So you understood, we're not collecting at sea, we're not cleaning the ocean, but we collect in every country we stop. We collect the plastic and we show all the solutions that are possible so that to initiate local initiative, local recycling businesses everywhere and transform this problem of plastic pollution into a social solution. So that's the idea of Plastic Odyssey. Today we are a team of 4 founders and a lot of passionate engineers, experts, volunteers helping us to build this community. And we managed to first do a first proof of concept, thanks to financial and institutional partners, to build this small boat that is called Ulysse, and that embark a plastic-to-fuel technology. So that's just a prototype. That's just a small-scale prototype of the whole project. A small boat that is not collecting plastic, once again, but is just showcasing a technology at low scale, open source, that can be replicated everywhere. So this boat is now around France. Next week we will be in Paris, so you're more than welcome to come and see this boat. It's been inaugurated by Brune Poisson in June, and we're now ending our Round the France tour. So now the next step will be to build the bigger boat, federate a bigger community, and set sail in 2020 to solve this global pollution. Thank you.
Fabulous. Simon, do you want to stay here for a bit? Because we've got some time for a few questions. So yeah, if you take up a seat. Actually, I kind of think this is so interesting. I'd kind of like to see what other people think. Do you want to take some questions?
Yeah, sure.
You open for that?
Yeah.
All right. Do stuff on the fly here. It's more fun. So does anybody have any questions that they're burning to ask? Because I have some anyway. Oh, wow. Was that a question over there, or are you just waving at me? I can say hi back. No, that wasn't a question? Because I was thinking that's a bit far for the microphone to get to. That was going to be interesting. Oh, here we go. Hello, sir. What's your name?
Hey, I'm Aurelian from Brittany as well. I'd like to know what are the next steps you're going to enforce for this campaign. Are you looking for funding? Are you focusing on developing the boat? Are you focusing on the program of raising awareness in the ports? Are you going to manage all the logistics and so on?
And thank you. There are many, many subjects, obviously, all of this at the same time. So we need a lot of energy and people to help us. But yeah, first of all, obviously funding. So as I said, it's not a startup. It's a non-for-profit. So the approach is different. As we want to develop open source technology, we are not looking for investors, but more for company partners willing to contribute to this project. So acting like sponsors, a bit like Solar Impulse. And at the same time, we obviously need to build the bigger machines, because for the moment it's just prototypes. So now we need to, with the community of engineers we have gathered, to build the next generation of systems that will be embarked on the bigger boat, and obviously build the bigger boat. So that will last for 2 years, if we are good. And in 2020 will be the start of the expedition, but at the same time we don't want to wait for the expedition to start to build small factories. So we are starting beginning of January. We will go in Burkina Faso to implement a first prototype recycling center to see how we can improve it and how we can think about the expedition and the best way to share these technologies. That's it.
Fantastic. Do we have any other questions? Oh my gosh. Okay, we're bombarded. We need to get the microphone around. Who's got the microphone? Microphone runner. Okay, over to the guy in the green jumper, please. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Thank you so much. My name is Ralph. Thanks
Hello,
so much
Ralph.
for the presentation. It was really great, and congratulations for the product, technology. I'm wondering a little bit about the technology. You said 1 liter out of, I don't know, one kilogram plastic goes to 1 liter of fuel. But what are the byproducts? Because like air pollution or energy you have to take in, because, I mean, it sounds like so amazing. It should be easy to scale such a solution, right?
Yeah, it sounds amazing when you think about it, but actually it's not really, because plastic comes from oil, so we're just reversing just putting oil back. But it's actually not the best solution. As I said, that's the last one, when you cannot do anything else. And instead of burning the plastic, you can still take the energy from it. So if you see on the global impact that this technology can have, it actually reduces CO2 emission, because you avoid oil being extracted, transporting, and then burnt. So it's still fossil fuel, but you can avoid 20% of CO2. So that's a first step, which is interesting. Compared to this amount of oil that is already extracted in form of plastic, you can reduce a lot of CO2. But again, it's a transition solution. It's not the It's not going to solve the problem. It's just one solution in all the panel of the technologies that we have. But yeah, I agree. It's not going to solve the problem.
Thank you. Okay, who's next? Because I know there were hands over here, or did you guys all have the same question? Do you have any more questions? Oh, okay, we've got taking initiative over here. Apparently this is now the question spot.
I don't know. I thought there was a line, whatever.
No, it's fine. I like that you've invented one. I think it's pretty cool.
Thanks for being here. My question is, where and how do you collect the plastic you will use to make your boat sail the road?
Well, mostly on the coast. I was showing a picture of Lebanon. You know, this mountain of trash is in Lebanon, and that's exactly where the source of our plastic. So cities, 50 kilometers away from the sea, that's where the pollution comes from. So we just want to make a demonstration. We don't want to build all the boats. It's just one boat to make a demonstration. So every call, plastic will be collected thanks to local initiatives, cleaning initiatives locally, or universities, schools, just to show that this plastic that is in the street could be collected and used to fuel a boat. And if we can fuel a boat today, tomorrow we can do the same ashore. That's the idea.
Thank you. And was there another question over here? Because if your hand doesn't come back up, because we've only got time for one more, there is definitely somebody keen over here. Okay, you lost your slot. I'm sorry. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, I'm Caroline.
Hi, Caroline.
Very good project, very nice. I wanted to ask you, in the 20 countries where you will be working, do you partner with other companies who do other recycling solution, plastic recycling solution? Will you plan that?
Yeah. Obviously, we have already started to look for entrepreneurs, especially in Africa, because that's the first continent we're going to see what is already being done and how we can implement all the solutions, how we can work with them. But we are not going to do the businesses ourselves. We're just sharing solutions that can be used to create small factories, and
No, it's
just
to improve
accelerating.
the communication to the
Sure.
consumers,
Yes,
the local consumers.
Yeah, that's all the solutions that can help raising awareness on this problem, but mostly on the solutions are good and could be think about.
Because I don't know if people here knew that there was these 20 countries are really the problem. I didn't know myself, so.
Like 20 countries accounting for 80% of the ocean pollution. That doesn't mean that the other countries are not polluting. It's just that they are not on the coasts, and they maybe bury the plastic or burn them. Like in France, we just bury the plastic. It's not a solution. It's not ending in the ocean. It's just ending in the floor. But yeah, 80% comes from 20 countries, so it's huge.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm round of applause to Simon Bacron.
Thank you.
Thank you.